from that chicken instead of
Underline
eating
the
the
words
first egg.
humility
So I associate
and
with
professional
your ideas.
will. Humility. Leaders must be humble. Because it's by being humble that you can inspire others. If you are bossy and you will usually touch the negative nerves of the people. They will detest you. So humility is important. But with humility comes professional will. It is painful to be professional all the time. But you must model it. Therefore, leadership is a cross you carry every day. And once you become a leader, you become a public figure. There is no private life in leadership. Unfortunately, once you accept that office, when you accepted that office that you are sitting, that has qualified you for this session, you became a public figure. Because whatever you do impacts others. Whatever you do is modeled by others. Whatever you do does something to the others. So let's move a little faster now through the leadership 101. First is the types of leadership. The first three are the classical ones, autocratic. Everything is about command and control. That's very usual in the army, in emergencies. You must model it. When things need to move now, sometimes it's necessary to become autocratic. It's not the best leadership style to have all the time, but you should be able to exercise it when need the word arises. Democratic is what we normally go for, where everyone has a say and everyone's idea is heard and the decision is made, and it's just to be a bit cynical, it is the autocracy of the majority over the minority. So what the majority want is what gets done. Then we have the laissez-faire. Laissez-faire is usually when things go free flow, as long as everyone knows what is supposed to be done. This is normally achieved in highly motivated teams. And in the leadership programs, we only cite Silicon Valley to be the area where laissez-faire works. Everyone comes because they know what they have to achieve. You don't need to drive them, and they will deliver. So that is laissez-faire. But then with that are many other styles. Pace setting, some leaders pace set, coaching. When you have charisma, transactional leadership is you perform, I pay you. You perform, I promote you. You perform, I take you out. It's about reward and action and reward. So you are transacting. Servant leadership, you offer yourselves like Jesus told us. He who wants to lead you should first be your servant. So that is the servant leadership. So you are there for the welfare first of your team before you. If anything is to be shared, the team is put first and the leader comes later. That is servant leadership. Then, of course, authentic leadership and so on. But today we are here for transformational leadership, which tends to actually bring into view all those other styles. So, to become a leader, there are certain things you should be able to demonstrate, which we call the competences. And indeed, you should be able to demonstrate cognitive intelligence, being able to perceive situations, being able to communicate what you perceive as the ambitions, that's the vision, and the values that you want people to espouse in your team. Spiritual intelligence is important. Not that you should be the most prayerful, but at least you should be able to embrace meaning and embrace people's differences and see value in people. So you are spiritually alert. You are not dead. Spiritually dead, you will treat everyone like a chair. Even a chair, you don't throw it anyhow, because it could break. Even your animal at home, you will not come and whack it just because it's not eaten the day's fodder. So with the people, it's even more relevant. There's need for emotional intelligence. I think that is the biggest thing that we are seeing today that is lacking in many leaders. There is more arrogance than emotional intelligence. There is more entitlement than feeling for others. So you should also demonstrate resilience and courage. Being a good leader means you can't please everyone all the time. It means not every decision you take will be a sweet decision to everyone. But unfortunately, many of the leaders we see today lack the courage. You can't be professional if you don't have courage. You can't be ethical if you don't have courage. You can't have integrity if you don't have courage. Because if someone tells you this must pass, but for it to pass, we shall give you 1 million to your association. But we want this to be the policy your association passes, whatever it may be. And they will sponsor you. That's why normally in research and so on, we are very strict when pharmaceutical companies are sponsoring a research. Because many leaders fail to have the courage to say, no, this is not going to be good for the people. So we will not conduct this. That courage is what has led us to all the problems that you witness wherever you witness them. It's because they lack the courage to handle the pressure. And then, of course, in this modern day, as a leader, if you are not a digital competent leader, you belong to the archives. I hope all of us here are taking class in AI these days, because it is becoming a very useful leadership tool for efficiency. So those are the key competences: cognitive intelligence, spiritual intelligence, emotional intelligence, resilience and courage, and the the digital intelligence. So as we said in the beginning, the leader must model the way. If you want it, show it. You must be inspirational and visionary. People must see a brighter future with you. If you are coming to maintain the status quo, people will soon go away. So show them that there are some aspirations you are bringing, and they will follow you. You don't have to pay them to follow you if you show that what you are in for is for the better. And therefore, you must challenge the processes. Always challenge the status quo, so that those things that you wrote at first that are normal in inverted commas, cease to be, because you are challenging that. And of course, leadership is team. A leader, you can't lead without followers, isn't it? So you must have a team, and therefore you must enable others to act. People, everyone has an ego. Everyone you lead in your associations has an ego. And you must make them feel that they have a value where they are. They feel their presence is felt. So as leaders, we need to make people feel that we value them, and therefore encourage the heart, make them feel good. So now that has been introductory, let us dive into what we are here for. Value-based leadership is nothing other than transformational leadership. That's what value-based leadership is. If you are to lead with values, Without money being the motivator, you must be a transformational leader. So who is a transformational leader and what's transformational leadership? It's an approach that causes change in individuals and social systems. So the individual must change the way they look at things for you to get the best out of them without having to buy, and enable people to deliver beyond the current constraints. You can be charismatic, you can be the most senior, but people might not follow you. But if you can shift their mindset and behavior, if you can show that systems can change and deliver, and these can do so predictably, people will follow. Because you will have changed them. Is that there are certain things we can't count like money that are actually more important for leaders to demonstrate. And that's what Albert Einstein said, that not everything that counts can be, and not everything that can be counted counts. There comes a time when money does not do it all. How much money do the MPs get? How much money do the state council executives get? Are your roads proper where you come from? Do you have an efficient garbage collection system? What about street lighting? Then what has happened? Because money is not it all. Money is not it all. We need values. We need those things that can't be counted but add a lot of value. So to be a transformational leader, Bass is one of the most common authors in that. There are 4 competences or characteristics that we need to develop for us to transform into transformational leaders. Sorry, I had put a timer, but I see we started a little late. So one is idealized influence. Idealized influence is what we've talked about. That is being a role model, trying to act the ideal. And that's why it becomes a cross. When you become a leader, you carry a cross because you always have to model the ideal, try to model the ideal situation for your team. So people wonder why there are term limits in leadership positions. It's because the cross is heavy. You can't carry it forever. You can't be the one who plays everything according to the book all the time, nearly infallible. People say, but if the leader can do it, then what about us? That sustained performance for a term after term can wear you out. So that's why we have these terms in the leadership positions, because at some point you need to take a breather. 7-9. So that is important for us to be able to model that professional ethics. We need to inspire. Inspirational motivation is also important. And with that, it means you must motivate and inspire others by challenging them always to perform better. Challenging them always to perform better. And therefore creating ambition and trying to shed for them a brighter picture in the future so that their efforts can be worthy a contribution. Intellectual stimulation is also important. That is helping people to think outside the box, to challenge the status quo, to innovate. When they bring an idea, don't accept it. Good ideas normally come from people who actually interact with the clients. For you as a leader, you are normally a little higher, levels higher. But you have your secretary, you have your publicity person, you have your committee leaders. These are the people that actually get direct contact with the societies you are serving. Listen to them. Listen to the clients also that you serve, so that when people bring in innovative ideas, it is important. And that is intellectual stimulation. So always encouraging doing things in different ways will push people to try and outdo themselves. Then, of course, individualized consideration, like we said, people want to be valued. Have a moment with your team, a one-on-one. If you are to be a leader who delivers, who drives people, have that one-on-one. Have those meetings. Have those WhatsApp, inbox them. Then you get your team close. There are things you will not want to tell the entire team if it's not pleasant for the person you are trying to talk about. Call them to the office and say, this was something I wanted to tell you, but I didn't want. Let them know you didn't want to say it in the meeting. They will feel valued. They say, oh, he protected my well-being. Otherwise, people become toxic. So you must grow people, coach them, listen to them. And with those four, you will be able to retain your team in a transformational direction. So idealized influence, modeling the ideal, inspirational motivation, intellectual stimulation, and individualized consideration. So why is this important, therefore, for us as health professional leaders and association leaders? It's because what we see in the health sector is because we have allowed it to be. And that's what PK was telling us here. That if we as association leaders here cannot influence those we lead, however much health budget is put, it will not change anything. It will not change anything. But if leaders, as you are seated here, decide that this is the standard that we want, because you set the culture. The Association of Surgeons, the Association of Anesthesiologists, the Association of, who else is here? Biomedical engineers. Who else is here? Obs and Gyn, the physicians. Surely, what leads the people under you if it's not the association? It's not even UMA. UMA comes much later. So we are the people who set the tone. We determine the culture. And that's the cross we carry as leaders. So we have to be transformational, therefore. We must model and demand. Not being very humble and, no. Set the standards. Define what professional service and conduct do we want. What should it look like? We can determine that if we wanted to. But if we resign, the system enjoys it because it also doesn't want pressure. The incentives. It's we who are supposed to determine how we should be rewarded and incentivized and so on. And as leaders, this is what we must do. But we must be good leaders so that the people you lead can rally behind you. I remember, I think 3 or 5 years ago, when the UMA president Obuku had to walk alone at some point. And then at some point again, my brother Biso was almost a lone voice. Why? Because people didn't feel they belonged. And so the leader was left alone. But if people want to do, they will be there. Then, of course, the identity. We need to protect our value proposition to the public. We need to hold ourselves and others accountable, including the system. So if associations only defend its members, we may win the arguments, we may have the most successful strikes, but we shall be losing our patients and the public trust. Therefore, we should be system-oriented. And therefore, as leaders, we are here. If you are to be transformational leaders, your first deliverable is access and patient safety. Access to the services and patient safety. That is your test, because it's the ultimate outcome and impact of your association's members. Will they treat tables? Must they get high mortality? So make it safe for everyone to. As leaders, is we don't use data. But you are working in a team. So everyone in the team
as different parts of one body. So we are to use our different gifts in accordance with the grace of God, in accordance with the grace that God has given us. If our gift is to speak God's message, we should do it according
and remember, you are working in a team. So everyone in the team has something to offer. Recognize them. And that way and that is idealized leadership, transformational leadership. That is intellectual stimulation. It is spiritual intelligence. Read for us 9 and
10. Love must be completely sincere. Hate what is evil. Hold on to what is good. Love one another warmly as Christian brothers and sisters, and be eager to show respect for one another.
Okay, and what do we get in there? Pardon? Be respectful and ethics also. Haven't you heard that? And emotional intelligence. That was 9 and 10, right? Yeah, can you read for us 10 and 11?
11 and 12, never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual favor serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer.
And what does that tell us?
To others should do it cheerfully.
And that is ideal. And what does that tell us?
Se- 17.
Leadership, transformational leadership. That is intellectual stimulation. It is spiritual intelligence. Read for us 9 and 10.
Love must be completely sincere. Hate what is evil. Hold on to what is good. Love one another warmly as Christian brothers and sisters, and be eager to show respect for one another.
Okay, and what do we get in there? Pardon? Be respectful and ethics also. Haven't you heard that? And emotional intelligence. That was 9 and 10, right? Yeah, can you read for us 10 and 11?
11 and 12. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual favor serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer.
And what does that tell us? Just 2 per person should be almost 40. Some will be repeated, of course. And that will be the end of our session. Okay, 3 people have submitted. Five. If we get to 15, we shall show the results. 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, let us see. Let us share the screen. David, are you still on Zoom? You are, yeah? Okay. 19 people have responded. I will ask my elder brother Biso to come and read for us. You can first read the summary of the statistic.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you have shared 2 actions you intend to implement in the leadership of your association. After this session, the statistics are, yes, okay. 9 people are committing to improve their emotional intelligence or deploy it. 6 are going to embrace teamwork. 3 will improve their spiritual intelligence. And 3, the word is only member. I wonder what that stands for. Okay? It's just a member. But those are the statistics. The choices. Emotional intelligence stands out. Teamwork and spiritual intelligence. So, yeah, value each member. So those are the 4 commonest leadership styles or approaches to leadership that people have.
And
Another round of applause.
Thank you so much, Professor. So, um, Miss Falal Jane Odubo, she's a highly distinguished senior consultant, general breast endocrine surgeon, and she's been in the circles of leadership, the ecosystem of leadership for over 3 decades. She's also the past president of COSEXA. And I won't say so much about her because the sun can set when I'm really mentioning all her profile. Ms. Falal is going to take us through the association and collaborations, lessons from the trenches of COSEXA. And so I'd like us to invite Ms. Falal for this inspiring presentation. As also the patron of WISA, we are so humbled to have her on board. Ms. Falal, you're welcome.
Welcome. Just a quick communication. If you came with UA 346CB, you are needed to help outside to unblock. It's yes, it's a Rolls Royce. Rolls Royce UA 36CB. I also sent a paper around. If your number plate is on that, please. Thank you. Mr. Miro, you'll be taking over. So, but Miss Jane is already here, but you'll be taking over after. Thank you. Miss Jane, you're welcome.
I hope I can. Okay. I can't see from there, so I'll be a little this side. Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Falal, as they have said, I'm happy to be with you. These people have kept me on my feet even if I am in the reserve force. How are you? Have I? I pressed that side. Initially it worked. No, the laptop, the thing is with them. Okay. So, associations, what are associations? We all here belong to associations. This is a formal group of people voluntarily coming together to pursue a shared purpose. So we have common goals, values, interests, experiences, and memories. It is also an organized with the rules and leadership and membership. We have our constitutions and our bylaws. So what do we have? Usually that common purpose may be a professional development, cultural preservation, social welfare, or advocacy. All of us have our reason for associating. And whenever you associate, we should have a community impact. Either we influence social change, we provide service. Association of Surgeons of Uganda and the anesthesiologists always provide service in their camps. We represent members' voices in larger societal matters. That is when you go up with the UMA. And how do we collaborate? In collaboration, we need to, it is combining strength to achieve something that none can do alone. Collaboration is usually a joint effort. I hope the organizers wanted you to collaborate, and that is why they've called you together. because alone you may not be able to achieve. I don't think a soul would have achieved what it does in the camps without the anesthesiologists or the anesthesia providers or the nurses. So collaboration is very important. So we have shared responsibility. Most often as health workers, it is the patient, and then mutual benefit. Then for collaboration, you may either do it nationally or even globally. You have to go a step higher and be global in your collaboration. And when you collaborate, there's a need to trust one another, to communicate properly, and also to have that shared vision. So effective collaboration creates the right environment for sharing ideas openly with clear roles and communication. And you must be intentional as you communicate, so that you need to plan well, to use the right tools, and to trust each other when you collaborate. Otherwise, misunderstandings can crop up. And the benefits of collaboration: when you talk to each other, you can be innovative, you have efficiency, you engage each other, and then you solve problems and you share knowledge. However, there are challenges of collaboration. With collaboration, there are always cultural differences and cultural shocks. Sometimes, especially if you are dealing with somebody maybe from another region, from another country, who does not understand your norms, it may take them time to understand you. So go slow. Then if we have silos in our collaboration, it creates problems. So if teams work in isolation, it is a problem. We need to work together. If there's unequal contribution, that you think that the other one is contributing 20% and this one is contributing 80%, you misunderstand each other in countries. I say plus because there are some hospitals in West Africa that we collaborate with. Then, how was I in the trench? The topic was given to me. Tell us about your experience in the trenches of COSEXA. That is where we started. If you look at that picture, right from 1950 is when ASEA started, Association of Surgeons of East Africa. So when I came as a postgraduate, if you look at where that, I don't know if this thing has a pointer. Does it? I don't want to switch it off. I may disorganize it. If you look at that red arrow, okay, thank you. Ah, it is there. Where do you touch? Ah, oh, okay. Eyes. No. Where was I? This man has disorganized me. I'm going ahead. Yes, here, in the trenches of COSEXA. I'm not going to touch that plus anymore because it is going to disorganize me. So if you look at that red arrow, which I created myself in this organogram, that is where I joined when I was a postgraduate student around 1993, when I came for postgraduate in Makerere. And that is when, before even COSEXA started, it was Association of Surgeons of East Africa. And what the head of department would do that time was to give you a form. You fill, and it says, I'm going to be your first referee, and look for a second referee. So you are supposed to be a member, an associate member of a SOU and an associate member of ASEA. And then he signs as your first referee, then you have to look for a second referee. And that is where I started, from the trenches. So when COSEXA was formed, amalgamated in 1999, I was already a surgeon for 3 years. And I was there in the meeting in Mombasa when COSEXA was inaugurated. It was a very tough meeting because we had people who were diehards. They loved the way the fellowshipping in ASEA was always conducted, and they didn't want again to go and start again a college of surgeons of East Central and South Africa. It was a very heated meeting, but because we were young, we just were observing how the seniors were fighting, and we remained there listening and moved on. But from there on, I moved. And if you see the last picture there, I became the president of the college. So this is a multi-country effort. Eventually, the EXA College of Health EXA Health Community in Arusha took it upon it after the ministers of health in the EXA region discussed and said, no, we must open a college so that we have common exams, common curriculum. And then we were joined by the Pan-African Association of Christian Surgeons in West Africa. They asked us, please train our people also so that they sit your exams and they are recognized in West Africa. So that was the first collaboration we made. So we've made regional and international collaborations. We've shared standards, and we have same curriculum across all the 16 countries. Now, the need to collaborate is very important. As an institution, COSEXA is a college without walls. We depend on accredited hospitals all over the region in order to train our students. And then we depend also, we partner with the Ministry of Health, the universities, and other organizations to train our students. Then we have also knowledge collaboration, the e-learning portal, which is a digital learning. It breaks the barriers so that you find even students in the rural areas logging onto the e-learning portal and learning. And the Journal of Surgery of East Central and Southern Africa is also there for you to publish. So we've opened doors to many. The human collaboration is in the mentorship model that we have. So the senior surgeons mentor trainees across all the countries. Right now, even if I have retired from service, every evening I have a tutorial with my students. Mostly they are from St. Mary's Lacho, and other students also join, because you don't stop mentoring people. You must be generous with your knowledge. There's cross-border mentorship and regional collaborations. And because of this, we share a pool of expertise, we standardize our qualification, and we have international recognition. Now, what is the lesson from these trenches? In the trenches, one, I started as a founder fellow. Then secondly, I became the country representative for over 8 years. In the trenches, sitting, going for these meetings, learning. You know, sometimes you had meetings up to midnight. Then you had to groom the students in order to pass the examinations. It was hectic as a country representative. Then later I became a treasurer for 6 years. After that, a vice president for 3 years. Then I became the first female president of the College of Surgeons of East Central and Southern Africa, which I had for 2 years, but I thought I had given the chair, but every now and again I'm called for one thing or another. So sometimes it's not good to be pioneer because they don't leave you. Yes. So I was deeply involved in hard and gritty and often exhausting work, directly engaged in tough day-to-day tasks, not even overseeing from a distance, but being involved there, especially with my students. I had no office, so I had to move along with them. And I had nobody to hand over problems to or even to consult, because being almost the pioneer, I know I had Dr. Nadumba, I think Dr. Mutiaba, who were before me, but before that, things were a bit shaking, and I had to put the things right as a country representative. So in the trenches, resources are scarce. Even you, when you're in your association, I don't think you have the type of bankers you were seeing in the recent past. Okay? And despite the resources being scarce, expectations of people, then the core challenge is in the trench is usually uncertainty. It is unpredictable. You need a lot of resilience to become, the resilience becomes the only constant that you have. You must be resilient. Questions are asked, you must answer. Problems comes, you must respond. Sometimes you are isolated. You feel alone, even when you are surrounded by others. Some of you here as maybe you are leaders, but you are here among people, but you know there's a problem you must tackle, and you stand out alone to solve that problem. I remember one time I was just walking, I think from Platinum going to Novik Hospital, and I was called from Nairobi, said, we have this problem, you must solve it. So I had to branch to AAR clinic. I told them, give me a consultation room. Let me sit. I must solve this problem. It is happening in Nairobi. And I had to sit for 1 hour in a meeting, sort it out, and walk away. And that is it. You are sometimes alone sorting out problems. There's always, you must sacrifice time, energy, and personal comfort in order to scale the greater heights. There is always conflict, disagreements, setbacks, but you must be patient and sort them out. The emotional weight, sometimes carrying these responsibilities for others, for your students, for your patients, for your colleagues, is sometimes very draining, but you need to move on and be strong. So working together helps. So don't work in isolation. Train, have meetings, solve problems, travel. And most times in COSEXA, we do this pro bono. Nobody pays you a cent. You do it because you must leave a legacy. If you don't train, if you don't give knowledge, if you don't impart skills to the young ones, you move on alone, then you become an island and useless. So please don't be selfish with your knowledge. So that is showing a training session. These were my predecessors, and this was after a meeting with them. So the key lessons you should learn is collaboration is very essential. No single country in the region can meet the demand of surgical or even as anesthesia or nursing training alone. Okay? And we need to pool resources as much as possible. And then two, standardization builds trust. Common curriculum, common examination builds trust in the region. Oh, you've done a COSEXA exam. Yes, I also did it in a certain year. So you trust each other. Okay? And it also builds confidence in the qualification because you are doing something which is common and together. Then mentorship. Senior surgeons or senior anesthesiologists or senior you who are here, you must mentor the younger trainees. And mentoring is more effective than classroom-based learning. I heard some of you are biomedicals. Don't go open a machine and then you fail even to close it. And that is what happens. Okay? I used to have issues in the main operating theater. I have all those students, oh, biomedical from certain place, they'll come open the machine to reassemble it is a problem. Now, if you are the one who is coaching those students, then big question marks come on you, okay? And then you have to have hands-on guidance. Technology is very important. I told you about the e-learning portal and then the digital platforms. They help us link with the outside world. The local context shapes our training. We experience the same thing across board. You go to Malawi, Namibia, there's high trauma, there's limited resource, there's the rural health needs are the same or even worse than your environment here. So we share the same environment. And then partnerships expand capacity. For COSEXA, we had our first international partners were the Royal College of Surgeons of Ireland. And through the Irish Aid, they helped us to grow. Then after we had the American College, the Western College of Surgeons, American Women Surgeons, and so forth. And they all joined us to help shape the surgical training in the region. Challenges in the trenches. When you meet challenges, don't give up, never give up. They should teach you to be resilient. The limited infrastructure, the uneven distribution of trainers, the resource constraints should never let you give up. Then the negative energy from colleagues, because those one was not, people will always be there talking. Whatever you do, somebody somewhere there talking negatively. Never let the negative energy bog you down. Okay? So leadership in a young college is not a title. It is a trench. You have to live it. Okay? So it is a place where vision collides with reality, then dreams meet obstacles, and then every decision shapes the future of the institution. So you must be serious and very committed to the decision you are making. So, as I said, it was hard work, it was loyalty, it was collaboration. I had to adapt, I had to mentor. So, challenges, emotional fatigue. When you're in the trench there, you get tired. There's emotional fatigue, both physical and emotional. You need physical and emotional resilience to fight that. There are doubts. Sometimes you'll doubt yourself. Am I on the right path? When they made me the president, I said, did I do the right decision to accept? Because now these 16 countries looked like a Titanic. I said, I think I'm going to let it sink. But I said, no way, I'm going to move on. So doubts, fears, and uncertainties, and setbacks, criticism may drain your resolve, but move on till the end. Unseen battles, small victories, and relentless efforts will make you succeed. Accountability pressures, people will expect you to deliver it. If you are doing everything from the depth of your heart, you will deliver. But if you are half-half, then it becomes difficult to deliver. Challenge 2, consistency. You must be consistent, stay committed, stay motivated, make sacrifice of comfort, surrender short-term pleasures for long-term goals. Sometimes sleep, leisure expenditures come in. You need to sacrifice that. Don't fear to fail. Failure is painful, especially if one has invested deeply. But even Jesus fell on the road, on the way to Calvary. He fell 3 times and got up. So why do you think you are different? You will fall and get up. Don't fall and remain down, okay? Partial commitment is not good. Be there and go to the success, go to success. Don't be there half. Partial commitment is not good. There are competing priorities. Why is it going off? Oh. Competing priorities in our lives. They should not stop. Family is there. The children are saying, "Mommy, where are you going?" I used to budget and move with them. I'm going to Namibia. When are you doing your exams? Pack, we go. I moved with them. So the children knew right from Addis down to Namibia, I moved with them because I budgeted for them. Okay? So how to overcome? Dissect big commitments into small, achievable milestones. Don't think of that big cake and think you'll have to swallow it. Cut it into pieces and you'll achieve it. Okay? Build routines that reduce reliance on motivation. Surround yourself with accountability partners and supportive communities. No negative forces. When you see a person with negative force, leave him alone or her alone. Revisit your why regularly so that you remind yourself of the bigger picture. Why am I here? Why did I accept this post? Why did we start this association? Always revisit it so that you remain focused. Accept imperfection. As I said earlier on, Jesus fell 3 times, he rose, he got up. Commitment is sustaining the grind when it is no more glamorous. Even you forget that time when it was so nice, you were made a president, everybody was partying. Then you start seeing problems, you want to leave. No way. So, as I said, success from the trenches needs adaptability, effective communication, resilience. So I was here partying with the Kenyan surgeons when I went last year as a Rahima Dawood traveling fellow, and they took me to one of the places where they eat a lot of, bush meat, I think. My first time to eat, it was the testicle of an ox. Okay? Yeah. So this was with the Ethiopian team, and also still I was giving a lecture to the Ethiopian team in the different hospitals, and one should remember integrity, and you need to empower your teams, and you have to have, which Professor was telling you before, emotional intelligence. Manage your own and others' emotions. Now, when you are resilient, you will register growth. This is the picture of all the presidents of the different colleges. In the Exa Health community in Arusha, the College of the East Central and Southern African College of Nurses and Midwives started way before COSEXA began. Because COSEXA is just about 27, 28 years. The College of Nurses and Midwives is over 30 years. But when the Exa Health community saw what COSEXA was doing, then it decided to give room for other colleges. So we have all those presidents of the different colleges because we led, we moved fast and started off. And that is because of the foundation we had in Asou and Asea. We had that fellowship. We were living as brothers and sisters, togetherness. And that is why we moved flawlessly in COSEXA. And now others are leading, are following from behind. So the good side of the trenches, again, resilience, deep learning, stronger bonds, innovation, and purpose and clarity. That was the graduation of the College of Anesthesiologists of East Central and Southern Africa. The president is there, and that is Dr. Mark Kasumba. This was in Zimbabwe. So it is in the trenches that true leadership is forged. Leaders learn that success is not measured by prestige or rankings, but the lives they touch, the opportunities they create, and the community they build. You are never alone. Here I was signing some partnership with the Operation Smile. It was in Rwanda, and I had good time with the girls in Addis Ababa after visiting Haile Selassie's palace. As leaders, we should embrace the trenches. You will discover the strength of your vision, the depth of your character, and the power of education to transform not just associations, but generations. The trenches are filled with disagreements and misunderstandings. Move on. And this demands humility, resilience, and courage. You must be humble. If you are a proud leader, you will move alone. I think I'm humble, not so. Yeah. So, in the trenches, the trenches are not glamorous. They are filled with late night meetings, endless negotiations, unseen work of volunteers, okay, who believe in something bigger than themselves. The power to amplify voices, advocate for causes, and build networks that outlast themselves or individuals. And they create opportunities to transform lives. So humility, I said it before, and wisdom to guide without controlling. You guide without controlling them. Let them go, let them free, let go of them and let them move on, and you just guide. The strength to support without overshadowing. Let them be themselves. The courage to invest in others without seeking recognition. Don't blow out. Somebody is giving a donation of 10 million, you will go to give 80 million. Now you're overshadowing your boss. Okay? So, thank you.
Another round of applause. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Never outshine. Don't bring Rolls Royce into this. Okay? Yes. So, in appreciation to Dr. Falal, what we can go with at home, we have been talking about collaborations, and collaborations. Yes, and that is the purpose of us being here today. Yes, for those who don't know me, I am called Miro Hamis from TMR International Hospital. I am a very proud nurse. Yes. Unlike Dr. Falal, I may not be humble. Because for us, we have got to learn the hard way that in order for you to survive in the operating room, you have to be a gumite of some kind, such that you can have the resilience to tell the surgeon that today you must go back to the sink and scrub again. Yes? I know, Dr. Janat, you've understood those things. Yes. So, just to note, I think in this room, I represent the very youngest association for professions, which is the Perioperative Nurses Association of Uganda. Yes, I know some of you have never heard of us, but now we are here. So in case you have any issues to deal with nursing, staffing, and what have you in the OR, we are here to support. We are going to be with you all the way, and hopefully the collaborations will come through, and
take us further. Yes. So allow me at this juncture to call back Dr. Chigonya to take us through the next presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Hamis. Let's give everyone a hand clap. It's been quite engaging as Professor Moses prepares to, he's going to do it online. Dr. Fowler. So, Professor will present to us on Zoom. He has not been able to make it today. He got clashing. Here, when you're registering, put your UMDPC number as you register. Now, as Professor prepares, since it's online, I think you have the Zoom link. Yeah? Christine. So as Professor prepares to come on, and Dr. Vivian is going to moderate the session, I'm going to ask a quick, you don't need to stand up, a quick reintroduction since some people are not here, so that we get to know each other again. Max, let's start with you. You don't need to stand. Okay, I noticed these chairs were giving people hard time, so that's why I said no need to stand. But if you don't mind, oh, by the way, it can move laterally. It can move laterally, isn't it? It can move lateral and medial. People have been doing superior and inferior. Christine is telling me it can abduct and adduct. Okay. So okay, Max, you can quickly. You see, it's a problem to move it medially.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maxentia Angela, Public Relations ASAO. I do the digital media management. Thank you.
I can hold for you the mic.
We have to stand. Good afternoon. I'm Lois Asimwe. I'm a Publicity Secretary for Association of Surgeons of Uganda and Country Representative Surgical Oncology for Hematology and Oncology Society Uganda.
You have forgotten. Surgical oncologist. Okay, she wants to repeat.
HOSU and ASAO.
HOSU and ASAO.
Vivian Akello, currently Assistant General Sec ASAO and past President SUGEST.
Founding President SUGEST. What is?
SUGEST is Society of Uganda Gastrointestinal and Endoscopic Surgeons.
Janet Tumukunde, Secretary General, AAU.
You know AAU. You know AAU. Was Organization of African Union. Huh? Oh, yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Tumsime Crescent Max. I'm a radiologist and I'm the president of the Association of Radiologists of Uganda.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Alice Katerega. NSU resident representative and ASAO executive secretary. I'm basically his secretary.
That's so you want them to stand up.
NSU is Neurosurgical Society of Uganda, and my president has been here. She came in the morning. My vice president, Dr. Nalwanga Julie, representing my president, Mr. Senyonjo, and the secretary will introduce himself. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Assumpta Nachintu. I'm the Secretary, Otolaryngology Society of Uganda.
OSU. Otolaryngology Society. Yeah, there are two OSUs actually. There are three.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rehema Namboze. I'm the ASO Indemnity Advisor.
Yes. Back in the days, Miss Paula, did you have indemnity advisor over South those days?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fiona Wukira, Vice President, Association of Pathologists of Uganda.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Namalangela. I am from Wuma Busoga chapter.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Kirol Paul. I'm the General Secretary of the Neurosurgical Society of Uganda.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Vincent Medei. I'm General Secretary of the Urological Association of Uganda. I'm a plumber.
Professor Galukande, are you on? You are ready?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Michael Monge Lukoma. I'm representing UMA Central Branch and Coffee Global Alumni Association.
Coffee.
Korean Federation for International Healthcare Global Alumni Fellow Association.
Why I was holding the mic is the scare that is going around. That's why I want to hold the mic myself. Yes, you had forgotten. For me, I'm okay, even if I'm the surgery chief in Chibuli. I'm okay.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Akio Fidel.
Attest to the fact that the expectations are often high. The questions that you're confronted with on a daily are telling. You're supposed to mobilize everyone, provide CDP points, defend standards, influence policy, speak to everything, you know. And you do this with the constraints that you have. Next, please. So that slide was the expectations, but what are our realities? The realities is that we have gross limited funding. We have very few paid staff or even none at all. We ourselves are busy people. I mean, the nature of our professions. We are busy volunteers. We often don't have secretariats or there are pro bono secretariats. Time is being shared by many things. We don't have offices and so on and so forth. Next. So what is our core dilemma? It's how do we manage teams when people are volunteers, when the resources are scarce, when the expectations are very high? That combination doesn't sit well for good outcomes. And the strategic question is, the question is not just about survival, but it's about sustaining influence, credibility, and service. So these associations must thrive despite that contradiction. So how do we deal with it? Again, the answer relies in how can we be innovative? How can we deal with governance? How can we mobilize resources that we so lack? Next, please. So I'll touch briefly on one of the things that happens to any teams. I've had the privilege of participating in numerous teams, maybe hundreds of teams over the past 3 decades for all sorts of endeavors, maybe half of those volunteer teams. So I'm sure that maybe the majority of you know about this, that anytime you have human beings come together in any kind of relationship, even including marriage relationships, the relationships are very dynamic. They are never static. They shift from one state to another by sheer time, but also by interaction to whatever is going on. So this is kind of been agreed that whatever team you have, it's going to go through these natural cycles. So you have the formation stage where people are just coming together for the first time. They are polite, they are respectful, and then you quickly get to the stage where they start questioning things, conflicts begin, and then when they have clarified their positions and what they're supposed to do and understood each other, then they kind of normalize. And when they normalize, then they start performing, and that's the best stage you want your team to be at. And these stages can go a little bit of back and forth, and then eventually the work is done if this was time bound, and either the team dissolves or reconstitutes. But I think the thing that may be misunderstood is the storming stage. Nearly every team is going to have this situation where conflicts really become strong. And sometimes people take that very personally, and a team might start dying at that moment. But yet this is an opportunity to, if it is managed well, to move on to the next stages. Next slide, please. So really the point about knowing that a relationship or relationships evolve and they get to natural stages of conflict is being forewarned. And if you're forewarned that this is going to happen, you expect it to happen, you anticipate it, and then you manage that crisis when it comes. And you know that the crisis will pass. It's not the end. It shouldn't be the end of the team, because a crisis will come and a crisis will be managed. And I mean, one of the most studied ones corporate teams, but also in marriage relationships, where when the honeymoon is over and the time is variable, then you get into the drama stage, where the fights begin, the competition begins, and if you are not forewarned, you think that this individual doesn't love you anymore, and that might be the end of that relationship. So even in teens, those cycles come and they should be anticipated and they should be managed. Yeah, and then of course the volunteer dynamics we have is resources are scarce, expectations are high. Next slide, please. So when we do associations, we do have a large number of people. Of course, some associations will have very large number of people. Others will have a small number of people. But I think the frustrating thing would be if you expect everyone to put in the same amount of energy, the same amount of attention, the same amount of zeal. If that's your expectation, then you've set yourself up for frustration. So it is good to look at an association, if I may call it sample size, in circles. You need this executive core, which you expect to run the show, and then you're going to walk through to the outer circle, which is everyone, and that you do your best to keep them informed on what is going on, but you're not going to expect them to work like the core group. So if you have those expectations or that strategy, then it may reduce your stress and you stay sane because you have different expectations for the different groupings. And also this is because once you're working as volunteers, really authority doesn't work very much. It's more of lobbying, it's more of encouraging, it's more of a little bit of coercing sometimes. Next slide, please. So this is kind of a framework to just excuse me a minute. Sorry. So this is kind of a framework to help remember what we are talking about in case you don't remember anything. This kind of summarizes it, so you can just take note of that. And the idea is, how do you turn a volunteer association into a collective team of people that works as powerfully as a movement would? And then we'll speak to each one of these as we carry on. And next. Next slide, please. Yeah, so one of the things that maybe let me see the slide before that. There should be a yes. So one of the big things about the work we do when it is volunteer is people ask, is this thing of value to me? Actually, maybe there's even a slide before that. Let me see the slide before that. Okay, no, okay, sorry, can move on. So one of the things that people are going to ask is, of what value is this to me? Next slide. And to answer this question of what value is this association to me, why should I participate? Why should I spare my time? Why should I give my money to be part of this association? And that shows some of the things that should be on our agenda, and we're intentional about them. And the other things that we can quote or cite to members or potential members as some of the things that make our activity calendar. Regular CPDs, mentorship programs, exam preparation support, research support, and so on and so forth. So if we use this list, this could be the value we cite to people, that this is what you stand to benefit if you're part of this association. And I'm going to emphasize a few points out of this, I think, in the next slide. Next slide, please. Now, before that one. Okay, so I think that speaks to the fact that, yes, people are going to question us if we only communicate to them when we have elections and we need to have the money collected. People don't know how much money they collected. People don't know how it is spent. And this can be a challenge because we are primarily not financial people. So associations do well to co-opt a professional finance person because money can be such a big problem. And then these people will help to have the records done correctly, have summaries made, and on a regular basis, this information is shared so that people don't believe that you're eating their money. Next. So those are the other things, of course, that are going to be the opposite of building trust. Next, please. Okay, so that is a reflection point. Next. Yeah, so what leadership style is going to work? Again, this is a summary of this, but I think the big point here for me is one, to look at the association and make sure that we are catering for all the different categories of variations. For example, geographical positions, geographical differences. Are we including people from the different regions of the country? Are we including people from the different institutions? How about the different ages? There are people that are starting their career. There are people that are in the middle. There are people that have exited. Are we intentional about including all these? How about gender representation? How about the different subspecialties? So these different groups must be thought about intentionally. And of course, the accountability thing we've talked about, especially for finances. Then really one of the big ones is to have an appreciative leadership style. where, because we don't have much money, and even if we did, is to appreciate people. There are phrases like, be generous with praise, praise in the public, criticize in private. Praise with emotion, criticize without emotion. So really the summary of the leadership style here that is called for is to be inclusive, accountable, and appreciative. Next slide, please. So in the volunteer context, authority doesn't work very well, especially with arrogancy. We have to be respectful, even if we should be firm. But those points of inclusiveness, appreciative, and keeping our word is very important. Next slide, please. Yeah, so these are some of the things we can ask ourselves as volunteer leaders. I'll call ourselves volunteer leaders. You shouldn't tire in restating the purpose for which we exist. We shouldn't tire in identifying opportunities and displaying them so that they are equally accessed by everyone. We maybe shouldn't promise too much, but whatever we promise, we do. Retain a degree of humility, but also be decisive in the things we do. Next. Okay, next one. So really saying the same thing in a different way. Why would volunteer associations fail, or if you can also add fail or struggle? Or what are the signs that you are failing or struggling when we are depending on maybe one individual? So very quickly, burnout will happen if the association is dependent on only the president or only on the secretary. If that's what's going on, then trouble is coming. If there's poor documentation, if there are weak financial systems, and here is really what comes in, is it recorded? What goes out, is it recorded? Are there summaries on a regular? Are these shared? And definitely we not having a secretariat is a huge thorn in the flesh that will impede progress and risk us failing. Next, please. So the list goes on, unclear priorities, and this becomes a function of a strategic plan. So once we get ourselves in a position where we have strategic plans or plans for a year, then we take away this thing of unclear priorities. And if we have strategic plans for a year, that gives birth to activity calendars, predictable dates, and so on. Personality conflicts can be an issue that can damage credibility, that can damage associations and risk them failing or retarding in growth. We often don't have trouble with the lack of succession. I think most of the associations have clear constitutions that allow for seamless change of leadership, and I think that is good. That helps many things. Next. So I'm repeating some of the things, maybe because they're important. So when it comes to inclusiveness, this is where, this is what this slide speaks to. So for many of our associations, we're going to have founding seniors. These people value respect, legacy, and standards. So we're going to have mid-career specialists that value leadership opportunities and career growth. So everyone has their different needs, and they should be thought about and how they should be met. Younger professionals, they value mentorship, visibility, technology, inclusiveness, and practical opportunities. Then you have diaspora members who value meaningful channels to contribute. They may be feeling lonely out there, or they may feel like they have something to contribute, but then there is no space to do that. Lately, there's been a drive, and lately means if many months ago, to set up different committees, different opportunities for people to engage these different segments. Next. Next, please. So the practical ideas for this kind of inclusivity might be for the seniors, the advisory councils or committees, the young professionals fora. We already have resident representatives. Maybe those numbers can be expanded. There's the whole area of mentorship and so on and so forth. Next, please. So those are some of the other ones, and I think some associations have some of these things already. Like we have WISA, which is great. Undergraduate student arm. I think that's there in some of these associations. Next, please. I don't know if the next slide has moved for you. I haven't seen it yet here. Okay, so yeah, thank you for your attention. I think the summary of this is one, teams evolve. Teams evolve. When you put a team together, it's likely to go through those stages we've highlighted. There's going to be the initial period of respect, of not saying much. Quickly, you get into a stage of storming, where conflicts are likely to, and clashes are likely to happen. But these can be mitigated by anticipating it and doing one of the things, which is clarifying the mission, clarifying roles, and maybe even having an algorithm of how conflicts can be sorted before they happen. And then I think the other major summary is to just understand that the kind of teams we are working with are volunteer teams. We can't exercise, or we can't use the authoritative approach, but there are a number of strategies that we can use to have inclusivity, but also use the weapon of appreciation and praise, especially public. So we shouldn't tire to recognize, praise, acknowledge. So that should form part of our agendas a lot of the time. And hopefully by doing this, we'll have more functional teams that will help us to achieve the missions, and then have the impact that we should as professional associations. The impact for us at the individual level, the impact at the professional level, and the impact at patient level. Thank you very much for your time. I hope the sound was loud and clear. And I missed being there in person, but yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Galokande, for that insightful presentation. I think for me, what I summarize this is, since we are all medical professionals, is when you get injury, you want to move as fast, especially past the catabolic phase and get to the anabolic phase. So when you have a shock of forming a new association, expect the catabolic stage. Don't stay long there. Make sure you get to the part where you transform and develop the association. But also that trust is probably more important to your association than money, because the buy-in from the members is what will push you far. At this point, can we get some questions? Any questions, especially the baby associations? We have an association less than a year in, the Periop Nurses Association, or any other who wants to ask the speaker.
Thank you, Dr. Vivian. My question goes to Ms. Walal. In the trenches, when one looks at where you are right now, they don't really think about the trenches that you've been through. I mean, it seems like you've sailed through to your positions of leadership. And you're one of the exemplary leaders in surgery and medicine as well, at the global level and regional level in Africa. And we are proud to have you as part of us in Uganda. Very humble lady. My question is, in the trenches, just like you shared, what kept you motivated at that time as a lady and also as a leader? How did you build trust with different personalities at that level so that you could have your way through? Thank you so much.
Probably before you answer, let me just take the questions. If there are any more questions, if there are none, then any other questions? It would be better to take them and then the speakers answer. You can go ahead.
Thank you very much. I think I can answer while seated. So, how did I keep motivated? First and foremost, the purpose of COSEXA is training. And I had students whom I was grooming. And the first aim of my being country representative at that time was my students must pass. And if a student failed, I felt I had also failed. So I kept moving, grooming them to be good students, to pass the exams and excel. And in those days, results were given through to the students through the country representatives. So you know how to, it is difficult to give tell a student you failed. So I made sure my students would pass. So you train them, you make sure you are there with them. Two, when I started as a country representative, and this is a college, initially it was for 12 countries, then 14, then 16 countries as we expanded. But when you are there in the college, you are thinking of your